Promises of new development and renewed life in Louisville's West End.
That plan would mean more tax money and new opportunities, but there are still unknowns. WDRB's Travis Ragsdale and Marcus Green investigate the questions that remain about the West End TIF.
We have House Bills 587 and 588.
Hailed as a game changer.
To elevate individuals, to give them a more opportunity.
For businesses and people living in the long-neglected Louisville West End.
There are hard-working families that all they want is the opportunity for their children to thrive.
But the plan had questions from the start.
But here we are with a bill that hasn't been vetted very much.
And now that that plan is in motion, the questions have only grown.
If you ask me how exactly this works, I can't tell you.
Here's how the plan would work. This 12 square mile area of West Louisville has already been carved out. Most of the new tax revenue created in that area would go to what's called the West End Opportunity Partnership. Here's an example. Let's say an apartment complex was built on this lot, or a business decided to relocate here. In the past, all of that new tax money created as a result of those developments would have gone to the government. But a WDRB News analysis has found that this West End TIF is very different from TIFs in the past. Now, 80% of that tax money would go to the West End Opportunity Partnership, and its board of directors could decide what to do with that money. It could be giving developers a grant, offsetting building costs, or helping out homeowners. Metro Council President David James is the board's interim president.
So now that we have everybody in place, the board can start actually doing board things and making big decisions and training the board, all of those things that are laid out in the legislation.
Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome everybody to the If you can't be quiet and let the meeting take place, you'll be asked to leave.
The board has had a few meetings already and they've not gone well, disrupted by protesters who say the plan isn't what the people living in the West End want.
You can't shut us out no more.
I'm not going to tolerate interruptions in the meeting, and we're just going to move forward.
How do you make sure those people's voices are still heard, though?
They have an opportunity to speak to board members every day of the week.
In order to make this possible, policymakers in Frankfort changed the law to allow TIF areas to be bigger. The change removed government oversight on how the money could be spent. It also removed a requirement to prove the benefits outweigh the costs. The unelected West End Opportunity Partnership Board could still do some of those things, but for now...
We just formulated the entire board, a month ago, so we have not gotten that far yet. And so those discussions will be had. It would be a suggestion to have those kind of conversations.
Those kinds of uncertainties and lack of specific plans create concerns for economists who have studied the plan.
I think to me is a problematic solution to what communities really need, particularly Black communities. And then I think on top of that, the lack of consideration for displacement, healthcare, community connection, how communities work together and how their commerce gets together.
TIFs themselves aren't new in Louisville. They've helped pay for projects like the KFC Yum Center and 21C Museum Hotel. But the West End TIF is not for any specific project.
This is for an entire part of the city.
And I think people are rightfully alarmed by it because there are not a lot of answers. And I think even at the board level for the TIF, there's been frustration around from hearing from residents.
All of those changes and differences on how this will work leaves big questions.
That is also very alarming. The lack of a plan, there's not really much of a plan, right? It's very loose.
We are going to move forward. We're going to try to make sure that the West End Opportunity Partnership benefits the people of West Louisville. And that includes a lot of things. So those are all going to be discussed by the board, and we will work through every single one of those things.
Questions that only time will be able to answer. Travis Ragsdale, WDRB News.
And if you have information about this story or any story you think our Investigates team should look into, email us at investigate@wdrb.com, or you can call 502-322-1297.